Call of Duty Modern Warfare has been without a doubt one of the most popular games in the franchise, matching the same heights of Black Ops 2 in 2012. The beta to launch of the game, in my opinion, one of the better launches we had in the series. Compared to the past few titles, Modern Warfare really seemed to be the saving grace of Call of Duty after the lackluster Black Ops 4 and the mediocre World War II. Modern Warfare is what brought a lot of the original fan base back into Call of Duty, alongside some of the older devs who worked on the original COD 4, who came in to help Infinity Ward develop the reboot. At launch, although the multiplayer wasn't the best, there was plenty of room for improvement, and the gunplay alongside the gunsmith customization and devastating kill streaks, it was a great foundation for Modern Warfare to grow and evolve for the months to come, also having enough content for players to invest their times into while Infinity Ward works on providing content for the upcoming Season 1 update. However, in my opinion, I personally think Season 1 and 2's updates were actually pretty good. It brought in a lot of fan requested modes, along with Shoe House and Shipment, which, to this day, when their playlists are not in the week's rotation, fans just straight up send the devs immediate backlash on Twitter, which, to be fair, is understandable to an extent, as their launch maps don't have any flow, and it can seem where you are dying from places that simply make no sense, and they're designed to be very camp heavy, so people who aren't really good at the game could just sit with Claymores, 725s, so the first maybe 2 months, that's all you're really going to see in the maps anyway. Regardless, after Season 2, I feel like Modern Warfare has been on a steady decline, and the battle passes after Season 2 as well have just felt uninspired and lazy. So in this video, I want to discuss with how Modern Warfare, in my opinion, has been on the decline, especially with Season 5 just releasing this week. We're going to look at the 3 major modes and see what Modern Warfare has been getting wrong as of late. To be quite honest, there isn't really much for me to say about Warzone. I don't really play it as often. I played it at the beginning when it came out, but after the first 3 weeks or so when it came out, I kind of just got tired of it. I feel like when Warzone came out, it was at a point in time where I was already getting tired and fatigued of Battle Royale, so like Warzone was a fun time, but I honestly don't see myself jumping back into it anytime soon. I might hop into it every so often, um, cause that's pretty much one of the main focuses of Modern Warfare at this point. So, for anyone who's actually consistently playing Warzone, they they're gonna probably have a more in-depth input of how the game's going than compared to me. I don't really know what's going on with Warzone. I'm just fatigued from the genre at this point, but what I can say is it's way better than Blackout and BO4 in several ways, and although until now there's been no significant map changes, with Season 5 they did um, allow you to enter into the stadium, so I mean that's one new thing, and they also apparently added the interior to the train station along with a moving train. I hopped into a few Warzone matches. I haven't seen the train. I guess I just died too early to experience it. And in terms of the stadium, if you want to land there consistently, you might want to wait a little bit, because from what I have been playing, the stadium is like, think of it as in Fortnite where Tilted Towers came out, and even then after season, if you want a hectic ass landing spot, at least for the moment, the stadium's gonna be it's gonna be very hectic. So if you're lucky enough, you can walk out of there with a few kills off rip. If you don't get sent to the gulag, of course. What they added to the battle royale genre was actually kind of innovating, considering how Call of Duty usually is the one copying from other games, like with the whole EXO movement back with Titanfall. and other FPS shooters that were released around the time. But yeah, I like the whole gulag system. I like the chance to be able to be brought back after a bad landing of sorts, or just you're not having the best of luck. Battle royales are usually they're more luck based. There's a lot of skill that goes into it as well, but it's mainly just luck. Like just RNG, depends on what type of loot you get. So the cash portion of the game and the gulag, along with buying people back, it's innovative to say the least in a genre where it's kind of just all feeling the same. So I mean, I'm not really a Warzone player. I might maybe hop back into it eventually, but now I'm very tired out with battle royale games. But if you are a Warzone player, I hope the content is a nice change of pace and variety for where to land at. But for me personally, I could care less about Warzone. Plunder, however, I played it a few times. I played it a little bit more than Warzone. It's fun depending on the match you're in. For me, sometimes I can go into a Plunder match and nothing could be going on. But that's usually because sometimes I usually play by myself. So whenever I land in the Plunder, I usually land with randoms. I like to stay with my team, and sometimes my team's not really doing anything. They're mainly playing objective, and I kind of want to go so get I kind of want to chase after the action, but you know, sometimes plunder matches, depending on where you land, it's not going to be a lot of action, but it's still fun. But it's not something I'm going to sink a lot of time into. I only have 1 day and 11 hours, or something like that. I know I have at least like 1 day played in Warzone. I haven't played it a lot. But yeah, there's not really more I can say on it. Spec Ops and multiplayer though, that's something I sink way more time into than Warzone. But if you are a Warzone player, I hope it's going well for you. Alright, this is where I'm going to get more aggravated, because before launch I was actually really excited for Spec Ops and the brand new mission style alongside the classic missions in the same style of Modern Warfare 2 and 3. And they also teased a while back that the Spec Ops missions would build off of the campaign and expand the story and lead things nicely into the sequel, which probably going to come out to maybe a year or two, depending on how this whole or depending on how this whole development cycle works now, with Treyarch working on it instead of Sledgehammer. I don't know if they're just cut out entirely, or I don't know what the hell's going on with Call of Duty at this point. However, when the game did launch, Spec Ops was incredibly disappointing. The classic Spec Ops missions offered were laughable, as there was only one map at launch with no star ratings. On top of that, it was incredibly buggy, so the only mission we had was a boring, similar gameplay to survival. Even after completion, they didn't give you a reward, so there was almost no point in playing it at launch. As well as the new Grand Operation missions. I don't know exactly what they're called. They're Operation something. They call it Operation, so that's what it is, I guess. They were teasing. They only had 4 at launch, from what I can remember, and the AI and difficulty at launch was fucking insane. Pretty much unplayable at that point in time, unless you were maybe cheating. I don't judge though. After Season 2, they added 4 more Operation missions from what I'm aware of, and they finally added more classic Spec Ops missions, along with some minor survival support if you're on PlayStation. We've gotten new maps here and there. The operations were actually playable, and my personal favorite to play is Crosswind, which gives me some Mile High Club vibes. And the classic missions finally have stars to earn. It doesn't really utilize the aspects of the game that I enjoy, like the sandbox and our just watered down version of Modern Warfare 2 and 3, which, to be fair, they should play similar to the old games. Like classic Spec Ops should play in a certain way, but just the maps offered and the gameplay variety, like I can't even remember. The one I played, I had to defuse bombs in a certain amount of time, but the AI and those chopper gunners, there wasn't really enough for me to defend myself, at least the first time I played. Plus I played by myself, so maybe if I had a squad with me, it wouldn't be as bad. but I'm open to trying them again down the line if they do continue to support it. The operations, like I also mentioned, was supposed to expand on the campaign of Modern Warfare, which to an extent it did. Modern Warfare's campaign, I'm just going to tell you right now, was awesome. I don't even need to bring this up in this review type video because that at launch and to this day still perfect. There's some minor gripes with it. Everything can't be 100% perfect, but it's definitely top 5 campaigns for sure. The way they expanded upon the campaign of Modern Warfare, though, it's just not the way I hoped or anticipated. In the operations, the basic story is cutting supplies, hunting down valuable assets connected to Mr. Z or Zakhaev, if you had big PP, and other minor objectives that are specifically tied to a mission. However, there's not been a new mission since Season 2, and since then, these seasons have been expanding on the story to Modern Warfare significantly, almost too significantly to the point where in this newly formed reboot of the Modern Warfare series, we already have a new adaptation of Ghost, originally from Modern Warfare 2, Task Force 141 already established so early on where near the end of the game they were still in the early phases with Captain Price and Laswell talking it over, gathering the right assets that would be fit for the team. Alex coming back to help after many thought he died at the end of the game just returned with no explanation and given a prosthetic leg. On top of that, the situation over in Donetsk is getting so hectic apparently that Gaz and Captain John motherfucking Price pulls up to Verdansk to help him find Zakhaev, at least I think. This is just a basic knowledge of what I know is going on in the universe so far, because to be quite honest, it's kind of confusing to even keep up with what's going on at this point, as Warzone is kind of turning into Infinity Ward's tool to expand the story when it just doesn't work. If you want to do it this way, to expand upon and give us these new characters, it would have been way better and more cohesive to just do it in Spec Ops. You can give us a nice small cinematic for each mission of what's currently going on with Price and Task Force 141. Properly introduce us to Ghost without just putting him in the Season 2 announcement trailer with him already in Donetsk, scoping out the situation, reporting back to Price. Like, we could have gotten an entirely new sequence if they just would have formed it properly in Spec Ops. We could have gotten it a little debriefing with Price and the rest of Task Force 141, overlooking the incidents, what's happening over in Verdansk, with Ghost then being sent out to scope out the airport to see what's wrong, to find out the situation is bigger than anticipated, which then leads into Ghost requesting Price to send in some operators he could trust, which can then lead into the mission, which they can also let Ghost himself be a sort of AI companion on top of the 4 other players you're in the lobby with, to sort of like give you a better understanding of his character while you're basically fighting through hell with him to an extent, sort of like how the campaign missions were, but just with 4 other people. I feel like that would have worked out a lot better. And if they're introducing Ghost, to this day, I don't know what the hell, like, this is a reboot, and these characters are not the same ones we knew in the older Modern Warfare trilogy. They have the same name, and they look similar, but they're different. You can't say the price of this reboot is the same as the Captain Price we got in Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3. Like, they're not the same. So now that we have Ghost in here, already an established character, which we don't know anything about, you can even read his bio in the operator screen for any mode you're on, and they give you like 2 sentences, like you're supposed to fill in the blanks yourself. They could have really expanded, at least give us a brief little taste of Ghost, so we have more understanding for him, so then when we get to Modern Warfare 2, we already have a connection with him, and then it'll be easier to, I guess write him as a character. So then we have all these other characters they're introducing, like Soap is coming back into Modern Warfare 2. I hope they don't add him into the season battle pass to come. I really hope they don't do that, because that's just another waste. They could have done the same thing with introducing Alex and Price. Like, sure, you want to sell these characters as operators in the battle pass, and so playing as Price while playing alongside Price, to be fair, is a little immersion breaking, kind of ruins the whole feel. However, when the seasons launch most people end up spam running these operators anyway. So if you want to feel all special and cool that, oh, I'm Captain Price or whatever, there's going to be like 5 more Captain Prices on your team. So it doesn't really matter, at least for me. I just expected way more with this game. If they marketed this to continue after the campaign, why are we not getting any new content for it besides these modified missions, which are just the same missions but with ridiculous modifiers and pretty mediocre rewards, to say the least? The story of Modern Warfare is still going without the actual story, with the Season 5 announcement trailer showing off Shadow Company making its way to the game, which, if you played Modern Warfare 2, you know about Shadow Company. I'm gonna just say that. And it just sucks to see they have pretty much abandoned Spec Ops, which I can understand, to less and less people playing it. But they aren't playing it because we aren't getting content for it. If they made the content worthwhile and fun, I can see a lot more people playing this. Like, I hop on it from time to time just to finish out the Battle Pass if I'm just getting tired of multiplayer, because it's a lot less stressful when you're just fighting AI, and you're still getting a lot of Battle Pass XP without having to sweat on shipment 24/7. This is also a kind of double-edged sword in a way, continuing the story with Modern Warfare through the other modes. Like, what the hell is the new Modern Warfare campaign even supposed to be about? Shadow Company has already come into the game, and according to Lurch, the new operator, they're also looking for Mr. Z, with reports saying he's hiding in the stadium, and they're getting closer and closer to Zakhaev, which worries me, because I would have loved to experience this type of story if it was a part of the campaign. They'd have more time to explain everything. Like, I don't know what the hell a Lurch is. He looks like a toe. I just feel like they're blowing their load far too early and not leaving us with... They're blowing their load far too early and are not leaving us with enough to get hyped for and speculate about for when the new Modern Warfare 2 releases. As at this point, they're getting closer and closer to stopping Zakhaev, who was being teased to be the main villain of the next game. So, by the time we get to Modern Warfare 2, what story do they have left? And in terms of mission design, I feel like the design is fine, I guess. Like, all the missions take place in the Warzone map, if you didn't know. So, there's plenty of more opportunities to have at least somewhat scripted missions. Like, I don't want us to be on some linear ass path. Like, I'd like to, like, they could get creative with it. Like, there's so much more they can do, and there's only 8 missions, which at this point, these missions, after you play it over and over again, it's just like you're playing Warface at this point. I just hope they do more Spec Ops. I really do. There's so much more they can do. The level design and just amount of freedom you could do in some of the missions in the campaign, they're just so good. So many unique, different levels. Like, they're just replayable. With these new Spec Ops missions, they're so repetitive because you only have so little of them, and after a while you're just doing the same thing over and over and over again. Like, let us have more freedom with them. Let's just be more creative. I just hope they don't forget about Spec Ops. I really hope they don't, because there's so much more you can do with it. And I know multiplayer and Warzone are more popular. They're the more, I guess, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just, I know Spec Ops is not as popular, but it's been so long since we've seen Spec Ops in the Call of Duty game, and just for us to finally have it and just be neglected at this point, it's kind of sad. And I don't know. I don't see them adding more. Maybe they will. Mid-Season 5, who knows? Season 6 maybe. But I hope they don't forget about Spec Ops. I know the main problem with BO4 was the fact that there was 3 modes they were trying to support at the same time, and they just couldn't support them all, which I get to an extent. But you can always sprinkle in some missions here and there. It's not like you have to make new areas. They're all in the Warzone map already. So, I mean, I guess I'm just asking for too much, I guess. I don't know. It's very disappointing. This, by far, is probably the most disappointing mode in this entire game, at least for me. If you enjoy it, I can't take that away from you. This is just how I feel. Same thing with all the other modes I talked about. If you like Warzone, if you like Spec Ops the way it is, that's fine. That's you. That's how you feel. But that's not how I feel. So that's why this video is kind of about my opinion. So just if you didn't know. But when you look at it from surface value, you must think I'm crazy, as we've been getting new maps for free, free weapons while tied to a paywall, and a battle pass filled with cosmetics that are optional and not pay to win. It sounds really cool, but when you look deeper into it, Infinity Ward just being lazy at this point, which, to be fair, I can't blame them completely, at least during Season 3, as that was when the whole pandemic broke out, everyone was having to work from home, it was a weird transition, no one was really prepared for that. Sorry, I hit my mic. Didn't mean to do that, but yeah, everyone was transitioning from working regularly to working at home. It was it wasn't a very smooth transition. I get that. Everything's hard when you have to adapt to something new. Season 3, as bad as it was, at least for me, it could have been a lot worse, but considering they were working from home, I guess it was decent. But after Season 3, though, when you look at it, what these other games are doing and all these games are releasing, to think that a AAA studio funded by Activision that makes billions annually to see COD basically give you a slightly different version of Hard Hat from Modern Warfare 3 with doors everywhere and spawns that are broken as hell, all hell. In Modern Warfare 3, Hard Hat, the spawns were not even that garbage. Like, it was a decent sized map. It's not Shipment where you should be looking at someone's spawn or just looking in a general direction. You'll just see someone pop into your vision. That's not how it's supposed to work. To say that we deserve more isn't even wrong. Because for Season 4, that by far is one of the worst seasons to come out, as it launched with 3 maps that were not even new. You don't believe me? Alright, Season 4 launched with Scrapyard from Modern Warfare 2, which it's not really. It's a remake. It's not new. We played it before, except with Modern Warfare spawns, it plays horribly. It doesn't even. If you go back and play Modern Warfare 2 Scrapyard, it plays so seamless, so smooth. In this version, everyone's just camping inside the planes, just peeking you out of your spawns. Like, they can literally see you spawn in the plane. In certain spots, they can see you. People be camping in that top hangar, right side, I believe. Um, like, it's just incredibly unbalanced. Like, you spawn like it's Shipment. Scrapyard is another decent sized map. It's not huge at all, and it's not fucking like a little itty bitty, like tiny ass corner that you're spawning in. Like, you're spawning in random ass spots. Like, I don't know what is wrong with the spawns. And then we got a gunfight map called Trench and a new ground war map. Sounds pretty cool, but when you sit back and think about it, they didn't dedicate time to even making Scrapyard. Like, Scrapyard, it's not like they just remade it or whatever. They took the dev time. Oh, let me just make Scrapyard prettier, whatever the case may be. Because they already made Scrapyard 2 seasons ago. Because it was already in the game with the ground war map Zokov Boneyard. I think that's how you say it. It came out 2 seasons ago, back when Season 2 launched, I believe. It came out, Zokov Boneyard. If you go to Zokov Boneyard, Scrapyard is I think it's a flag that you could capture, yeah. So Scrapyard was already made for that game, and they just took that section of the map, cut it out, pasted it to multiplayer. That's your new content. And then for Trench is a gunfight map where you find the trench, believe it or fucking not. And you only sit in the shoot the ship 24/7 playlist. You probably just think this is a new map, but if you played Grozny Raid, you know that Trench has always been in the game, as it's just Grozny Raid sectioned off into a smaller map, with just minor visual changes and more props laid around like tanks. The trench is a little deeper, and that's pretty much it. And the final map at launch was a ground war map called Promenade something. To be honest, I forgot, as I don't play ground war that much. But if Promenade sounds familiar to you, it's because, well, it's also been in the map since launch. They just took a part of Warzone and made it a map. All three launch maps were just sectioned off of other maps to give you a false impression of new content. So if, let's say, you're someone who likes all the modes, you play Warzone, you play Spec Ops, you play multiplayer, this and that, and then you're hopping in the multiplayer for some new maps, new content, and then you hop in the scrapyard, and you're like, wow, this is very familiar to me. I've been here before. This isn't new territory for me. Even if it was like an old map like Terminal that hasn't technically been in the game yet. Scrapyard has been in the game since Season 2. But now we just get to play on 6v6 maps, which is cool if they didn't ruin the spawns. The guns, yeah, they're cool and all, but the main focus is the maps. You're going to be using the guns just as much as you're going to be playing the maps. Hell, even you're going to be playing on the maps more than using the guns, because at launch of the season, the first thing you're going to do, hop into the new maps. You're not going to be able to use the guns until you at least get to tier 15 to get one of them, unless you pay for the bundle. Then I guess you'll have one at the start. But you're going to be switching guns. You're not just going to use the DLC weapon the entire time, unless it's something like the Graw that just overpowered. Then yeah, you're pretty much going to be switching up the guns, unless you just run a specific playstyle where you only use 1 to 2 guns. What I'm trying to say is you're mainly going to be playing on the maps. You're going to be on these maps more than you're going to be using the new guns, if that makes sense. So if all 3 maps we're getting at launch were just sectioned off of other maps that we've already played, if you play the game as a whole, then it's not new to you at all. It just, they're cutting pieces of the pie and giving it to you in different little sizes, if that makes sense. I don't really know if I'm making sense with that analogy. Later in the season, however, they did add a new map to Shire Park that's actually kind of decent. Isn't a remake or a map that's already in the game, as well as I know, and plays kind of well, so I'll give them that, I guess. It's just a standard 3-lane map. It's nothing too serious. It plays well. There's some case of shipment spawn, but other than that, it plays well. Not great, it plays well. But Season 4 is what really opened my eyes and made me think that, sure, we get free maps every season, but for the most part, it's either a remake or just a bad map. Season 1, we had Crash at launch, and then Shipment and Bacon later on. I'm only talking 6v6 maps, as that what a majority of multiplayer players play, but all 3 of those maps were remakes. At the time, it wasn't as bad. This is the first season. People were complaining about the launch maps, so they gave us Shoe House before Season 1 to compensate, then give us 3 fan favorite maps to hold us off. Over during the meantime, Season 2, however, we got Rust and Atlas Superstore. For me personally, I love what Superstore is going for. I love that as an idea for a map, but I think the map is decent at best. It really only works on certain game modes. And then later, we got Condor Hideout. For me, this is when the game started to lose me. I know a lot of people might like this one, but I never understood the flow of the map. It really felt like you could just never predict where the enemies would be at. It would just be a clusterfuck. And on other game modes, almost everyone is just trying to or is camping in the main center building. Season 4 I already covered, but before we talk about Season 5, I just want to sidetrack and talk about the microtransaction portion of the game, because it does play a big part in the multiplayer to an extent. But each battle pass after Season 2, in my opinion, had just felt lazy. It just adds in a ton of fluff content just to pan out the rewards you may actually want. In Season 3, if I'm not wrong, they added vehicle skins, which I mean is cool, I guess, but it just takes up too many slots in the pass. And the vehicle skins they do have are just lazy and kind of corny, at least for me. Season 4 added vehicle horns, and honestly, who the fuck cares about vehicle horns? I don't know if it's just me, but when you're playing Warzone or Ground War, or any mode that uses these type of vehicles, who uses the horn besides maybe honking it to let your teammate or friends know to get in the car or vehicle, wherever the hell you're in? Other than that, there's no real use for them other than for filler to pad out the pass with more useless junk on top of all the sprays and stickers. Also, in these 3 passes, including Season 5, they started a weird trend in making the worst skins for Igor. I'll throw them up on the screen, but I don't understand who at Infinity Ward just decided, yeah, let's add this cool skin in the battle pass. No one ever, and no one else even questioned why he has the dumbest fucking haircut anyone's ever seen. Milsim outfits also have been flooding the battle pass, as especially in season 3 and 4. Sure, some of them are cool, but when you realize that they're pretty much the default operators, and the fact that every pass has at least 3 to 4 Milsim skins, when we usually get 10 skins anyway, every 10 tiers you get another skin. There are still operators in the game who don't even have skins to earn through the battle pass. Charlie and Kruger have never gotten a battle pass skin. Since season 1 to 5, there's not been a skin in the battle pass that includes Charlie or Kruger. And in my opinion, they're one of the more used operators. So if you want to have a different skin, you're going to have to fork over some bucks. Fork over some nice bones. Which at the most will cost you at least $15 to $20, as most of the bundles in this game are at least around $20 for just a skin or a weapon variant with a couple stickers and calling cards and other useless garbage. Which also brings me to the other bundles in the shop. There is, at this point, there's so much bundles in the game, you could spend over $1,000 and still probably not have everything in the store. As soon as they released COD points into Call of Duty Modern Warfare, they flooded the gates with these bundles. There's just so many. Like, every time I get refreshed bundles in the shop where they're just, oh, look at this. You want to buy these 2 swords? You want to buy this fucking shield? No, I don't. I don't give a fuck about those whack-ass shields that's going to cost me $10. No thanks. Let us earn some skins for free without buying the pass, and let us earn new and unique universal camos besides the one you unlock for getting gold and trying to get Damascus. Some of the camos for some of the variants in the shop are cool, but they're usually for a gun I might not even want to use. If you're charging me $20 for a camo for a gun, let me use the camo on other guns at the very most. If you're charging me 20 bucks, I want to be able to use that on my sniper, on my SMG, on my AR, shotgun, anything. Let me use it. I spent $20 and I can only use it on one gun. I'm not going to use one gun for the entire game. I'm going to switch it up. Now, finally, for Season 5, in terms of maps, we got 2 6v6 maps, a gunfight map, and a ground war map. Like I said before, though, the ground war map is the Verdansk Airport, which yet again has already been in the game and is a part of Warzone, and is a part of Spec Ops mission Crosswind. The gunfight map is from Krovnik Farmlands, which is a ground war map, which also yet again is a part of the Warzone map. So many remakes. Cool. Or just sectioned off part of the maps. That's very, very interesting. I am so excited. Oil rig in the harbor map seems to be brand new, which is a positive. However, the harbor map just has way too many corners, and the lines of sight and cover aren't balanced between both sides. Oil rig is actually pretty good, regardless of it being a larger map for the most part. It had decent flow, depending on the game mode. TDM actually flowed pretty well from when I played. It's a little slow, but at least you can expect where the enemies will be at for the most part. And there's also good variations of height, which I appreciate. However, the pass is still more or less the same trash, except now you can earn songs to play in vehicles, which I can honestly care less about. The weapon variants all look the same, as the whole theme is Shadow Company, which I understand, but they all look very basic. They're just black with a tiny little Shadow Company logo on the side. I'm not going to see that when I'm in the game. I would say I have high hopes for Modern Warfare to get better. We're getting closer and closer to Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, which I don't give two fucks about. If you guys want, I can make a video talking about my feelings towards that game, because I am not interested in the slightest. I could care less. But this video is already getting a little long. Longer than my other videos, that's for sure, but as inactive as I've been, I dumped 13 days of my life into this game. With every season, I have hope, but after being let down so many times, if the rest of Season 5 is good, that's great, I might check it out. But if it's not, then I guess I'm just done with COD as a whole. Modern Warfare is really the make it or break it for me. as I was very disappointed with BO3 and 4. I know I played it a lot before, but as the more and more I look back on it, it's really just the bottom of the barrel of the series, at least for me. I just feel like as a whole, they're not really innovating as much as I would like them to. For each season, I'm tired of being put in this constant COD cycle where we get hyped and let down just to be hyped for the next. I'm just not interested in the series as much anymore. I have all the good games I want. I will always have Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2. Those games are not going anywhere, so I feel like I'm done. I'll be looking forward to Modern Warfare 2, see where the campaign goes, but in terms of the other modes, I hope they learned. I hope. If you guys feel different, that's fine. You're entitled to your own opinion, but I just expected more from this game, as it is one of the best-selling games in the franchise, breaking records. I guess it's just an unreasonable expectation to see innovation and more map variety in a series that breaks sales records for every release. I guess we're just gonna get spoon-fed the same content throughout different modes to give you a false sense of new content. I no one's complaining, at least from what I've seen. So I mean, they're just gonna keep doing it. If it don't, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. And I don't see anyone really complaining about it. There's a couple. I'm not gonna say I haven't seen any. I've seen a couple, but the good majority, they're just. I guess they're just fine with it. I guess they're fine with seeing old maps again. I understand. I just don't like the way they play in this game. The spawns are not good. You can search up videos. I'm pretty sure there's videos out there that just show how bad the spawns are, especially in other modes. But I'm done. I'm done for multiplayer. I'm done for Spec Ops. I'm done with the game as a whole. I'll check out the new updates whenever they come out. But this video is getting a little long, so I'll end it here. At least the multiplayer section. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I don't know how much my word is really worth, but my senior year's coming up. A lot less classes for me to be concerned with. I'll try to make a stricter uploading schedule. As short as of right now, I have I have no intentions in pursuing this as a full career. I know that's what a lot of people have, or at least a good majority of people go into YouTube with the mindset of I'm gonna make a lot of money. I see all these YouTubers starting up these channels and they just play games and they make money. So I'm just gonna do the same and I'm gonna be rich. I'm never gonna have to work again. But that's just an unreasonable expectation that you're just gonna go into this thinking it's a job when it's really not. It's very hard in this day and age for YouTube to grow, as for the most part you don't really see new channels blowing up as often as it was before. Um, yeah, for the most part, it's really just if you're lucky, you're lucky. It's very luck based. You gotta have perfect timing. You gotta be consistent. You can't think of this as a job. Just have fun with it, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. This video is actually one of the best videos I've made, in my opinion. I loved working on this video. This was a lot of fun. Different style for me that I'm not quite used to making, but I had a lot of fun doing it. And if there's any suggestions for videos, feel free to leave them down below in the comments. If you want to stay updated though on content, be sure to subscribe and follow me on Twitter for updates. I'll try and stay consistent on Twitter as well. And thank you again for watching. Hope you all have a great one. See ya.